Imagine preparing yourself for a boxing match in front of 20,000 people, all of which want to see you fail. Well, that was the situation for Jack Johnson as he prepared to fight in the World Heavyweight Championship. I studied Johnson in a sports and society class I took in high school, and ever since I studied him, I was very interested. Johnson was known for being the first African American World Heavyweight Champion, for crossing the color barrier between black and white boxing, and being one of the most famous people of his time. When Jack was born in 1878, racism was still at large in America. According to Jeffrey Ward, the writer of Unforgivable Blackness, Jackson had 8 brothers and sisters, and his parents were former slaves. He had to work ever since he was a kid to help support his family. Johnson left Texas when he was 16 to move to New York and pursue his boxing career. He started off by fighting amateur boxers, and his first match he only won $1.50. As he started winning matches, he began to move his way up to the pro level. However, he was still only allowed to fight African American boxers. After he dominated at the pro level, he had his eyes set on the world heavyweight title. According to Teresa Runstedler, who the author of a biography on Jack Johnson, he was not allowed to fight in the World Heavyweight Championship because of his color. The current champion at the time, Jim Jeffries, refused to fight him and denied him a shot at the title. Jack was furious when he didn't get a shot, and he began calling out Jeffries. He called him afraid. He had to do this for several years before Jeffries agreed to finally fight him. This would be known as one of the biggest fights in boxing history. A stadium was built specifically for this match, and it held over 20,000 people. The match was known as the Fight of the Century. Here's a picture that took place from the fight. This right here is Jack Johnson, and over here is Jim Jeffries. Johnson easily won the match, and he was named the first African American World Heavyweight Champion. After Johnson won the match, he was known as one of the most famous people in the world. Although famous, he was still hated by many Americans. Johnson did nothing to help his cause, as he did many things that angered the white community. He dated white women and drove fancy cars that most African Americans didn't get the privilege to do. He was arrested in 1912 for bringing his white girlfriend across the state lines without being married. There was lots of controversy over this case because of a lack of evidence, and the charge has been called racially biased. Although the arrest ended his career, Johnson is still known as one of the biggest names in boxing. In conclusion, before sentenced to prison, Johnson won the title. He was the first African American to win the World Heavyweight title, and he was known as one of the most famous athletes in the world during this time. If any of you have ever been in a situation where someone has wanted you to not be successful, I'm sure you can relate to Johnson. Jack Johnson never backed down from a challenge. One of his most famous quotes is, "Don't let your dreams stay as dreams."